The studio feels like a pressure cooker about to blow. Cold LED lights flood the space, washing everything in a sterile, bluish glow, like a hospital ward, not a TV set. Cameras swoop over the live audience, catching their restless buzz. Some fidgeting, some whispering, all waiting for the fireworks. The theme music kicks in, a pulsing bass line that thumps like a war drum, signaling the start of Pierce Unfiltered, the hottest talk show on cable right now. Jonathan Pierce strides out, all swagger and sharp edges. He's in a tailored gray suit, hair slicked back, eyes glinting like he's already won. The guy's a shark, 5 years running this gig, and he's built a rep for shredding guests with a smile. Tonight, he's got a big fish, Karoline Levitt, the firebrand conservative commentator who's been lighting up the right-wing circuit with her unapologetic takes on faith, family, and freedom. He flops into his chair, leans forward, and flashes that trademark grin, half charm, half menace. Karoline sits across from him, cool as ice. She's in a simple navy blazer and white blouse, no frills, no fuss. Her posture straight, her hazel eyes locked on him, unflinching. She knows what's coming. This ain't a chat, it's a cage match. Welcome to Pierce Unfiltered, Jonathan says, voice smooth as silk but dripping with intent. Tonight, we've got Karoline Levitt, voice of the conservative faithful, defender of traditional values. Karoline, great to have you. She nods, a tight smile. Thanks for the invite, Jonathan. He doesn't waste a second. Let's cut to it. You're big on faith, talk about it all the time, right? God values the whole deal. So here's a simple one for you. If faith matters so much, why don't I see a cross around your neck? No Jesus pin, no nothing. What's up with that? Boom. The shot's fired. The audience stirs, gasps, murmurs, a few nods. Cameras zoom in tight on Karoline's face, hunting for a flinch. She doesn't give them one. Instead, she tilts her head, eyes narrowing just a fraction, and fires back. So you're telling me my faith hinges on a piece of jewelry? Her voice is calm, but there's steel in it. The room freezes for a beat. Jonathan blinks, barely, but it's there. He wasn't expecting her to swing so fast. Jonathan recovers quick, leaning back with a little laugh, playing it cool for the crowd. Not exactly, he says, tossing a glance at the audience like they're in on the joke. But it's kinda weird, don't you think? Someone who's always banging on about Christian values, and there's not a single sign of it on you. To a lot of folks, that smells like hypocrisy. The word lands like a slap. The cameras catch it all. A guy in the front row nodding hard. A woman next to him crossing her arms, waiting for Karoline's move. The screens behind them flash Twitter reactions in real time, #PierceUnfiltered already trending. Karoline doesn't blink. She lets a small smile curl her lips, but her eyes are daggers. If I slapped a cross on right now, would that make you believe me, Jonathan? Or would you just say I'm pandering to you and your cameras? The audience oos. A few clap. Jonathan's grin tightens, he's off balance and he knows it. He adjusts his tie, leaning in closer. Come on, Karoline. Politics is a stage. Your people, the ones who eat up your speeches, they need to see what you stand for. No outward sign? How do they know you're for real? She nods slow, like she's chewing on his words, then lowers her voice. It's deliberate, heavy, every syllable landing like a hammer. Faith isn't a performance, Jonathan. It's not some prop I wave around to prove a point. It's in how I live, how I treat people, what I fight for. If you think it's just a necklace or a pin, then you're the one turning it into a media game. The crowd erupts. Half cheer, half jeer. The divide's instant, Team Karoline versus Team Pierce. The cameras whip around, catching a guy pumping his fist, a woman shaking her head. On the big screen, a tweet pops up. She just owned him. Faith ain't a costume. #Karoline Levitt. Another fires back. No cross, no creds. She's dodging. #Pierce wins. Jonathan smirks, but it's strained. Nice line. But let's be real, public's got a right to question you. Politicians lie all the time, say one thing, do another. You're asking us to take your word for it. She locks eyes with him, unflinching. No, I'm asking you to look at my actions. Judge me by what I do, not what I don't wear. If my life doesn't match my words, call me out. But if you're hung up on a symbol, some shiny trinket, then maybe your standards are the ones that need a hard look. The room holds its breath. Then a slow clap from the back. Spreads, uneven at first, then louder. Jonathan's jaw ticks. He's losing ground, and the live feed's catching every second. Let's rewind a bit because you need to know who Karoline Levitt really is. She's 32, grew up in a small New Hampshire town. Think clapboard houses, Sunday potlucks, the kind of place where everyone knows your business. Her dad was a pastor, a quiet guy with a voice that could fill a room when he preached. Her mom taught 3rd grade, always quoting scripture over dinner. Faith wasn't just talk in that house. It was air. But it wasn't all rosy. Middle school? Brutal. Kids called her preacher's pet, shoved her books into lockers, laughed when she stumbled over answers in class. She doubted herself, doubted God, too, some nights, staring at the ceiling, wondering why he let her feel so small. Took years to claw out of that to find her spine. College debates sharpened her tongue. Law school gave her the tools. Now, she's a force. A blogger turned pundit who's not afraid to throw punches. Tonight's her biggest stage yet. She knew Jonathan Pierce would come hard. His show thrives on blood. She prepped for this, pacing her hotel room, muttering comebacks. He'll go for the faith angle, she told herself. He always does. Jonathan Pierce isn't some random talking head. He's 38, ex-print journalist who jumped to TV when newspapers started tanking. Back in the day, he broke stories, corrupt mayors, shady unions. Now, he breaks people. His show's a circus, and he's the ringmaster, poking guests till they snap. Ratings love it. He picked Karoline because she's a lightning rod. Her viral clips, railing against cancel culture, defending religious liberty, pull millions of views. But she's got gaps he can exploit. No cross? No Bible quotes tattooed on her arm? Perfect. He briefed his team. She's all talk. Let's see if she squirms. Back in the studio, Jonathan's not done. He leans forward, voice dropping low. Conspiratorial. Actions, huh? Fair enough. But in this world, Twitter, TikTok, 24/7 news, people judge fast. No symbol, no signal. Doesn't that make folks wonder what you're hiding? Karoline doesn't bite. She leans in too, mirroring him, her tone steady but slicing. If they're wondering that because I don't wear a cross, then they don't get faith at all. It's not a photo op, Jonathan. It's not a trending hashtag. It's what I carry inside. Every day, every choice. Like sitting here, taking your jabs, because I believe truth's worth fighting for. The audience roars. A woman yells, "Preach!" A guy boos. The split's electric. Half the room's with her, half against. Twitter's ablaze. Karoline's dropping bombs. Hashtag faith fight versus she's dodging the question. Hashtag Pierce unfiltered. Jonathan pivots, smelling a chance. So what, you're above it all? Those folks out there wearing crosses, praying loud, they're just showboats to you? She shakes her head, sharp. Don't twist my words. People express faith their way, I respect that. But you don't get to gatekeep it with a dress code. That's shallow. That's you playing games. The crowd's losing it now. Claps drown out jeers, then flip. Jonathan's rattled. He hides it with a laugh, but his eyes dart to the control booth. Time to push harder. He goes for the kill. Look, Karoline, it's simple. In today's world, optics matter. You don't play the game, people think you're fake. You're telling me that's not a risk. She smiles, not warm but lethal. Risk? Sure. But I'd rather risk that than turn my soul into a billboard. You want to talk optics? Let's talk yours. You grill me about a cross, but what about you? What do you stand for, Jonathan, besides ratings and gotchas? The room explodes. He freezes, mouth half open. She's turned it, put him on trial. The audience is a wave. Cheers crashing over boos. A guy yells, "Get him, Karoline." The screens light up. She flipped it. Hashtag Karoline versus Pierce. And Pierce just got smoked. Hashtag faith ain't a game. Jonathan scrambles. I'm asking the questions here. Are you? She cuts in, voice like a blade. Or are you just fishing for a clip? Faith's not a prop, and I'm not your puppet. Judge me by my life, not your script. The applause is deafening. Jonathan's done, cornered on his own turf. He forces a grin, turns to the camera. Well, folks, that's a wrap for tonight. Karoline Levitt, never dull. Stick around for the aftershow. The lights dim, but the storm's just starting. Backstage, Karoline exhales, hands shaking a little. She did it, held her ground, flipped the narrative. Jonathan's in his dressing room, barking at his producer. Cut that last bit. She made me look weak. Too late. Clips are already viral. Faith ain't a performance, hits 1 million views in an hour. Karoline Levitt destroys Jonathan Pierce, racks up retweets. The hashtags, #FaithFight, #Karoline versus Pierce, dominate. One side's crowing, she's a warrior. Truth won. The other's sniping, all talk, no proof. Pierce had a point. Newsrooms jump in. Levitt's faith stance sparks debate. Pundits dissect it. Bold or reckless? TikToks flooded with reaction vids. Teens stitching her lines, pastors praising her, skeptics mocking. The media game she called out? It's an overdrive.